Okay, let's talk about Atlas 3I or 3I Atlas. It reached perihelion basically this morning, somewhere around 6:30 Central Time this morning. It made its closest approach to the sun, 1.36 astronomical units, and there was no non-gravitational movement detected. Right, everything was going as mathematically predicted. So it followed JPL Horizons' predicted hyperbolic trajectory exactly. No sign of breakup, acceleration. It held a peak speed of 68.3 kilometers per second. There was no maneuvering going on. It's behaving like a classic interstellar comet, not a technological spacecraft. Even Harvard's Avi Loeb has now confirmed his artificial odds, which were pre-event at like 30 or 40%. He had rated it a 4 on his scale, are now near zero. So the astronomical community's majority prediction of a natural object has basically been confirmed. So that doesn't mean that there's not a mystery, though, right? Because there's some unusual chemical anomalies that are still unexplained. There's the nickel anomaly. So unusual nickel vapor persists. The object was off gas and atomic nickel at impossibly low temperatures, far from the sun. Uh, not sure how that happens, right? The mystery is that it points to a chemical reaction that we don't yet understand, or exotic interstellar chemistry that is possibly economically or even militarily disruptive, right? It's confirmed that it's losing material at about 150 kilograms per second, and only about 4% of that is water by mass. So that shatters the assumption that it's a typical water rich comet. It's just too low. Post perihelion, the CO2 nickel rich coma expanded. Sunward jets were confirmed, and a dust tail uh, developed. So this object is currently at its most active, and it's going to generate a wealth of spectroscopic data as it's analyzed. So it was confirmed that despite the gas loss, there were no non gravitational acceleration or thrust. The object's enormous size and density must be soaking up the expected thrust. So it's there there are these it's kind of like no recoil. Like they would expect it to recoil to certain events, like getting close to the sun and all that. It didn't happen, so that means that it is massive and it is heavy. So what's current visibility? It's in Virgo. It's very faint. It's called a Mag 13. The southern hemisphere has the best views right now. That's why guys like Dobsonian Power are working with people actually here in Texas and parts of South America. Maybe they can get some glimpses, but it's like I was saying in my last video. These are not prime optic situations. We're not getting clear shots of it. It would require like a large amateur telescope with an 8 to 12 inch lens, and not everybody has something like that. And even if you are putting your equipment at risk to aim it that close to the sun, it's questionable how good of an image you're going to get. By November 11th, North America and Europe can resume observation. So the guy that I was talking about that was in Texas, I think there's some live streams planned right around November 11th. That glimpse will get just a little bit better, and in the northern hemisphere, but also North America and Europe, they can at least start some like pre-dawn sky, aim to the east. As the solar glare subsides, they may catch some glimpses. This is going to be early glimpses, but right now, NASA's Europa Clipper and the European Space Agency's Hera are passing through the object's ion tail and are going to sample some interstellar material. That's really amazing. That's happening. That's actually been happening for the last couple of days, and will conclude about November 6th. The next planetary flyby is November 3rd. It'll go by Venus. And then in March of 26, it will fly by Jupiter. It's on its path to exit the solar system by 2027. So earlier I talked about that there's still mystery, right? Well, the exotic chemistry is part of it. But the leading theory for the government silence, because remember, like we got these images from the Mars flyby, we've got nothing. We actually have very little confirmed data coming out of the European Space Agency or NASA, and they're thinking that NASA's Sphere X or China's TLN-1 may have discovered new materials, exotic chemistry, alloys, and it could have an economic angle to it. It could have it could be disruptive for military. You know, that is making us think that, okay, it's not alien, right? But there's something there that I don't want to say hiding, but it's, you know, they're certainly not disclosing. They're not showing us the pictures. So has the conspiracy narrative shifted to suppressing science now for profit or power instead of hiding aliens? That's possible. So that's one kind of conspiracy angle is maybe they found something on there that is going to be disruptive, and they're trying to lock the technology down, and maybe they're trying to plan how can they leverage it, how can they exploit it. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter (MRO) captured the best resolution back on October 2nd, but its release is still blocked. And there's calls to action saying you've got to release the raw MRO data. One of the things they want to do is look at the nickel outgassing. They want to analyze it. So there's still a lot of high level discussion. I saw that JD Vance and Paulina Luna, they continue to talk about UAPs, and they actually do this angle where they say they're potentially interdimensional or spiritual, and that's really separate from Three Eye Atlas, but it's hard for people not to make connections all the way across because there's been so many speculations about Three Eye Atlas, and you know, there's a contrast there between the scientific clarity of Three Eye Atlas and the continued mystery of Earth-based UAPs. And by that I mean, at this point, we know Three Eye Atlas is a comet. It's an interstellar comet. It's unlike one we've ever seen before, but it's an interstellar comet. Yet the UAPs and drones that we see at different places on the Earth, like New Jersey earlier this year, now in Europe, we don't have good explanations. And we're getting strange stories from our leaders, like JD Vance. He promises he's going to look into it and get to the truth. It's very interesting, but you know, science prevails, and the scientific community certainly prevailed on this one because they declared it was a comet early on. Like there was no one that wasn't trying to sell a book or entertain you that was seriously entertaining that this was aliens. Everybody that was trying to talk about that was either, you know, taking the speculative license and saying they're just speculating. But there was people saying, you know, oh, they were remote viewed, and this is tied in with these ancient theories about the Anunnaki and you know, all this stuff. There was people claiming that they were coming to get the star seeds, and how did you know if you're a star seed? Well, if you heard them say star seed, that means you're a star seed. Just insane level of social media hype and drama that's been going on a lot this year, and I'm talking about this because I think it's all tied in. Like, I think the UAPs and the drones spooked everybody, right? Like, what's going on? Reports of an offshore base, underwater base and stuff. No evidence of any of it. You know, we had the Chinese weather balloons or the surveillance balloons. That caused a lot of, I mean, you know, people are like, what the hell's going on, you know? And so when you have events like that happening, and then you have basically information being suppressed, that's where all these wild theories come from. But so there's still a lot of mysteries to unravel here, and a lot of mysteries with Three Eye Atlas, you know, with the materiality and what's going on with the nickel content, and how big is it, and So perihelion had no effect on it, right? Well, okay. The good news is probably for the last month, I've been talking about bad optics and how we can't see it. Well, starting in mid November, we'll start to get some glimpses. By early December, we're going to be getting some good optics on this. And unless there's just a flat out, they're going to block everything and not let us see anything. And then you're going to know there's a military angle here, right? There's potentially a military angle, or there's potentially a financial angle, which is funny because I've always theorized that I'm wary about investing in gold because we're just one gold-filled asteroid away from doubling the gold supply, right? Well, who knows? Who knows what they found on Three Eye Atlas? But people will continue to speculate. But even the grand poobah of alien speculation, Avi Loeb, who started this whole mess, is now saying it is essentially a 0%